It's easy for me as a 40-year-old man to compare how I approached training when I was younger to the young kids we work with here today. And it's easy to judge them based off what we had access to and to what they have access to now. But it's not fair. If we would have been subjected to cell phones, technology, social media, if we would have been subjected to those things that are overly stimulating and produce a significant amount of dopamine, and they lean on and leverage a lot of different emotions, especially at a very young, impressionable age, like maybe our training would have not been as successful. It's easy to do your training and, not have this thing to compare it to, turn online and look at what other athletes are doing and see what they've been successful, and not have this comparative thing that's going on when you're at the very early stages, because a lot of kids do that. A lot of kids, when they come in here and we're just having like casual conversations, they like talking about their favorite athletes, and they like talking about, there's so many documentaries of what they went through and what happened then, and them going back and looking at what they went early training, when you're looking at Hall of Famers, when you're looking at people who have been really successful in their sport. And what we always have to tell the kids is, like, you're looking at someone who's been reflective, like what they've gained in their strength and their mentality and emotional and how they approach their game now. They're at this point, but before that thing happened, they were where you were at. They didn't have the emotional and resolve and fortitude to push themselves through yet. They had to go through adversity. So it's kind of unfair to look at someone who's being reflective of what has already happened when you're in the moment and it hasn't happened to you yet. So we're trying to get the kids to understand it, like, don't judge yourself too harshly on those things. Whatever you were getting better at was like, that was the expectation. So we didn't have this reward system. So that it wasn't something that we were looking for. The kids now are different. They have a reward system and a lot of things that they do, whether that be social media. You're gaining a following if that's important to you. You're gaining recognition for something that you've put up. If you're a gamer, I'm a former gamer. If you played video games, you go from level 1 to level 2. I mean, the whole screen explodes and coins and stuff fall out the sky, and there's lights and there's cameras and there's this big celebration. But in reality, when you go from level 1 to level 2, and not specifically 1 and 2, but you just are getting better, there is no celebration. There is no recognition. Like, that's the expectation. You go on to the next thing. But when you've grown up in an era where you're constantly being rewarded for things, and that reward doesn't come, the overall motivation to do things starts to lack. And again, it's easy for us to take how we grew up, because we didn't have it, and try to apply it to kids who have been subjected to this thing, and expect them to have the same temperament and have the same attitude as we did when we weren't getting rewards. And trying to understand how you motivate and get kids to do something, especially when they have the potential to do it. You get better every day, but you don't. You don't get better every day. Like, that's a lie. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you're worse on day 30 than when you were on day 2, and not physically, just mentally. The thing that you're working on is just not getting better. You're not getting better at it, and you're just getting frustrated. So now you're just getting in your head about it. So you're not getting better at it. And understand that as children are going through these things, as a lot of the things they subject themselves to or are subjected to have such a reward base, or even just feedback, negative or positive, they get something back. But when you do actually real training, real practice, and depending on what sport or what practice you're in, sometimes there's nothing. It's just practice was Monday and tomorrow's Tuesday, and there was no high or low. And when you live in a state that a lot of these kids have, sometimes it's up and it's down. It's something when it's nothing. It's hard when you've been subjected to this up and down, to where real progress, real moving forward and what you're going in there's nothing there, but you're essentially moving towards getting better. But the motivation in that is tough for children, and understand how to speak to them, how to talk to them, how to have them understand, like, this is what real progress look like. It mostly is nothing. And it's okay that it's nothing, because you're getting stronger mentally and emotionally, and you don't feel it. You're not going to feel this big euphoric feeling of I'm getting stronger. You'll just know when you get to a situation, you handled it better now than you did in the past. And then that's your recognition. And then you move forward as you keep going through this thing. But it's not a celebratory thing. And if you can essentially not have that happen as often as it has been happening for these kids, because that hinders them thinking they need to get a reward or recognition for something that you chose to do, and this is the progress, and as you're going to compete against other potential athletes, as that's going to be a part of what you're going to do. You can't just celebrate something that it's part of the progress, the process of this, and then be sad when it doesn't happen. Just understand that the reality of like real progress is mostly nothing and mostly boring. But again, it's us who are older and lived a different life when we were younger and had a different environment where there wasn't so much reward coming in. How we approach the kids is going to be different, and applying what we went through to what they're going through now. It's a different mindset, is unfair in their development and in their progress. And if we can be a little bit more understanding, not accepting, but more understanding, and like they're in a different environment than what we were in, and trying to apply that, it's going to could be or may not be as successful depending on the child. Having that understanding and having that dialogue with a kid as you're trying to get them to reach their potential and be the best that they can be, will be a lot more successful at, having stronger emotionally, mentally kids as it pertains to sports and as it pertains to just their overall personal development.